Hi, teacher. Good afternoon.
Hello, Rosie. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And you, teacher?
I am good. I am happy because today is Saturday. I don't know.
Yes, teacher is good.
Yeah, it is. And do you know anything about your classmate, Ceci? Do you know anything? No.
Last weekend, she noticed other teacher
Mm-hmm.
that uh, her father
Mm-hmm.
uh, is, um, got to the hospital. No, got to stay, o ¿cómo se dice? Tuvo estar internado, creo.
Had in past had to stay in a hospital. I know that, but you don't know anything about this week.
No, teacher.
No.
They,
Okay. Okay, you you are distracted. No, don't worry, don't worry.
sorry, teacher.
No, 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 it's okay, it's okay. It's your nephew or your niece. I don't know, his nephew or niece.
Niece, teacher.
Yes, and a little monster. It's always a distraction.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry at all. No, no, no. And be happy because today we leave not at 2 o'clock, but maybe quarter to 2 o'clock or 22 o'clock. So that's good. Good. So we're going to start because I don't know what's going on with your
I,
classmate.
I think, teacher, that Ceci today, she does not connect with this class.
Mhm. Did she do it with the other?
No,
With the others?
no.
No. Oh, jeez. Okay. So we're going to start, Rosie. So before we start, I'm going to call the roll. This is the first thing I have to do. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, Jesus Christ. Rosie, this is your last term in the school? Or do you have to go to
No,
school next
no. Not is my last. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo dijo term?
term, which is semestre or
Ah,
cuatrimestre
yeah.
term? This
No,
is your last?
no.
Ah.
I hope I finish. I will finish next year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, yes, teacher. Teacher, I
Um,
don't know. What can I do in order to improve my English skill? Because mm, I think that it's difficult for me
mm-hmm,
to understand the native English. For
mm-hmm,
example, when I stay with you in the class, I can understand all the things that you are saying me or not told
mm-hmm,
me. But when I listen someone who talk in English like a native speaker, I
mm-hmm.
cannot understand the English. Really difficult for me. And when I stay in some moment like this, for example, when I am listening something, for example, one song or something like that, really is difficult for me to understand English.
Okay, maybe it is because you are not very accustomed to listen to the native English or the native accent. Maybe because you watch movies in Spanish or series in Spanish, or I will recommend you to watch series if you like them in English or with subtitles once in a while, and that will help you a lot.
Okay. Yeah, because for example, in these days,
Mm-hmm,
I try to see the news, the about USA,
mm-hmm,
ABC News,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this mechanism is helpful for me,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I had the opportunity to talk with someone who is a native speaker.
Mm-hmm.
When when he talked to me, it was really difficult because really I think that I couldn't understand the things uh, that he told me. For example, teacher, the only question when he asked me how old are you. I couldn't understand this question, and when I listen with you or my classmate, I understand, but they really speak very fast, and I
Yes.
don't understand what they are saying.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to practice listening accuracy is with the British accent, because Americans have a lot of how would say
Contractions?
contractions. Yes, that's what I mean. A lot of different ways of speaking, like not very appropriate speaking. Okay, like as in British English. Maybe I'm thinking about the BBC. Look up for the BBC in Facebook. They have, you can work a little bit on reading, but also they have videos, and you can look up for BBC on YouTube, and that is British accent. So that's gonna be a little easier for you, because Americans are speaking very very fast, like they don't even breathe, which is kind of difficult. I understand.
Teacher, I really I feel bad because uh, really I think that uh, I told me what happened to me, because when I stay in my class I understand, but when I am listening and try to talk with someone,
Mhm.
a native speaker, I can understand. Uh, and really I want to learn this language, teacher, because I think that in this way I can find more opportunities in other countries.
Mhm.
um, but ¿cómo se dice? Para ser sincera,
To
sincerely,
be honest,
honest,
to
to
be
be
honest.
honest, English is difficult for me. When I my first English class, it was when I was 14 years old,
Hmm.
but really it was difficult for me. And now I try to understand. I today actually I can say that I can talk more in English. Maybe I can express more or less my ideas, but um, really, um, when I listen in the English by a native speaker, uh, it's difficult for me.
Don't worry. That is very normal. My first time when well, first of all, at school I have native teachers, British, Americans, and Australian, Canadian teachers also. I had. And for me, the most difficult was the Australian accent, and it is scientifically demonstrated that Australian accent is the most difficult one. But the easiest one is British. And even though, believe it or not, British people don't like people who speak fast, because for them it's kind of rude, kind of not very polite. So, for example, for us, for teachers, we when we are learning this, when we are studying the major, we are told that we are supposed to speak slow because of students. When I started teaching, I wanted to speak so fast. And somebody told me, no, you should speak slower. And British people hate people who speak fast. So Americans in worldwide, they are recognized by very rude people because they speak so fast. So if you want to get used to the accent, I recommend you to watch movies in British accent. There are so many of them. Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet. We have. You can. I know. You can watch the movie Troy because let me tell you something. Something really interesting about that. When I was not in the university, but when I was in high school, I learned the little English I knew back then. I learned that English with the movie Troy. Believe it or not, I learned by heart all the I forget the words, all the dialogues, and I learned vocabulary and I get used to the pronunciation. So for me, at some point at the university, it was more difficult the British accent rather than the American one because I was really used to it and only for one movie. So that is very interesting. Maybe it's crazy and it's out of this world, but most of the English I learned and all the structure that I learned was from that movie. So movies are very useful. Uh, News are useful, but sometimes they are very fast, and mainly the American ones in the television. They have which one they have, I don't know which one they have from the United States, and it's very difficult because they go very fast. But if you watch the NBA news, so the news about basketball and baseball and that kind of stuff, it's easier than the news. So I recommend you that. I recommend you radio also. I have a radio station from Colorado Springs in the United States, which goes very fast, but you can understand. So I will send you the link if you want to. Look up for the BBC. Look up for, they are called TED videos. I will write it here. Give me a moment.
Yes,
Uh,
teacher. Thanks a
yes,
lot.
we have in YouTube. We have the TED videos. The TED videos are videos that we use here for the school, because those are videos about school topics. So they can talk about a grammar, they can talk about a linguistics, or they can talk about a history or
I
geography. And
I
and the
have
videos are on YouTube.
I have I have had the opportunity to listen this type of videos, teacher.
Mhm.
TEDx is TEDx videos.
Yes, TEDx videos. Yes, you're right.
I like it, this type of videos. Um, I try to understand this video. Maybe I think, teacher, that depends on the. I need more practice because, for example, I think that I only practice the English when I stay in my class. Mm, these days, I have had the contact in order to practice my English with someone
Mhm.
who lives in USA, but he's an American. He is French person.
And that's why you didn't understand. So he's from France.
Yes,
That is the reason. There are studies about that when you try to understand a not native speaker, it's so harder to understand every single word. So I think I recommend for you to look up for a person who is a real native speaker. No, it's because you are a new learner, and maybe a person from New York or Virginia or maybe from Canada, because people who don't whose English is not the native language is very difficult to understand. Mm, Even though when you are in another country or when you want to practice more rather than school and courses, it's kind of hard. Maybe that is the reason. So don't worry, don't be afraid. That happens a lot, and that happens to all of us, to any person who speaks English as a second language, as a foreign language, and that person who wants to practice with a non-native speaker. It's more difficult than speaking with a native speaker. So I would tell you something. A few months ago, I had a chance to go to travel to some part of the US. And believe me, when I was in California, it was like I don't understand anything they say. Okay, I have been to different places and I don't understand anything. So after living 4 or 5 days, and it's not that much, but or a week maybe, I got used to the accent, and I could understand. I was able to understand the same words that maybe a speaker from Canada or a native speaker from New York or from Virginia or from another place in the United States. They were the same phrases, the same words, but I didn't understand because I wasn't accustomed to the accent from California, which is faster than in other places. So after being in contact with them, maybe 1 week or 1 week and a half, I got used to it. So now that I watch series, that most of the series in English are made in California, in Los Angeles, as you know, so you get used to that accent. That's why when I used to watch TV before traveling, I didn't understand anything because I wasn't accustomed to that. But when you watch that kind of series, those kind of programs from California, from the west side of the United States, you get used to it. So you feel more comfortable. So don't be afraid. Just try to do it from the other side. Try to find a guy from, I don't know, on Facebook, we can find a lot of friends from different parts of in the planet, and maybe some friends from United States who are actually native speakers are gonna help you out a lot. So don't worry, Rosie. That's why you have problems.
Oh, thank you, teacher. Really
Yes.
appreciate your words because in my experience, when really I'm afraid because when I stay, for example, if someday I stay talking with the native speakers, really native speakers,
Yeah, absolutely.
it will be very difficult for me to express my ideas, but I think that it's very important for me to try to communicate in this language. I think that as I expressed some days ago, teacher,
Mhm.
if we know to talk in English, we can open more. Ay, ¿cómo se dice puertas? How can I?
Doors,
Doors.
like the band. Don't worry, don't
Doors.
worry. You are distracted by your niece.
Yeah, teacher. But really appreciate your words. I hope that in one day can I could talk English good because I think that now I I can express my ideas more or less, or
Mhm.
maybe you got my ideas, but I know that I make lots of mistakes, maybe in grammar, because for example, grammar is difficult for me. It's, all the things in English is difficult for me, teacher. But
Okay.
um really I appreciate your words, teacher, and I will use all the resources that you give me. And thanks, teacher.
No, you're welcome. Another another idea that it's coming to my mind. Maybe um, you can look at for the phonetic alphabet in YouTube, the English phonetic alphabet. Why? Because as far as you know, all the phonemes that we have in English, you can understand better the words and better the context. Remember that it's impossible to understand every single word that we hear, even in Spanish. And that is scientifically demonstrated that even when we speak Spanish as native language, we don't understand the 100% of the words. Why? There are so many factors. There are factors like distraction, like outside noises, like mispronunciation. For example, in Spanish, we pronounce, I don't know, maybe instead of saying pues, for example, we say pos. And for even for us as native speakers, it's kind of difficult because you say, what did you say? What did she say? So imagine in another language. So the point is, and there are clues. The point is that you, or the clue for you is to understand the main word and the main idea, the general idea, not every single word. Because the most common mistake that we do when we want to learn any language is try to understand. We want to understand every single word, and that is the worst mistake ever. So we shouldn't do that. We should focus on the main message. Like, okay, so I didn't understand that he said, how old are you? But I understand that he said old and you. So immediately my brain says, okay, it has to do with the age. Okay, so that is a clue. If you let me tell you something. For next class, I'm just planning to try some speaking activities. But if you allow me and if you let me, I can bring you some activities for next Saturday about speaking, about pronunciation. Maybe a very, very sneak peek about pronunciation, but giving you some ideas about how to concentrate more in the listening and speaking, because speaking and listening go together. And if you know the basics on pronunciation, you can accurate your listening. Okay, so if you want to, I can bring you some activities.
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
It will be good because the pronunciation, I think that is really very important because maybe we know about grammar, but if we don't know which is the correct pronunciation, we can understand different idea, no?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. No, maybe because that is the point. Sometimes we want to understand every single word, and here at school, it's easier because as teachers, you need to speak slower. Like, okay, not like I am, no, but a little bit slow for your classmates to understand. But in the real life, that's why conversational workshops are very important, because in that case, like in these examples, we speak, we give opinions, we answer questions, we do different activities, and that is very, very useful because we get used to it. So another recommendation for you is try to practice English with maybe some friends, or like you did with other friends. For example, let me tell you something. I met per se this guy on Facebook from Morocco, and he barely speaks English and Spanish and French, I think. And okay, I just said, oh my God, I can have someone to practice French with. So he wanted to practice Spanish because I'm from Mexico. And I told him, okay, yes, don't worry, it's okay. So his English was horrible. I couldn't understand almost anything because the pronunciation was horrible, and I was horribly spoken, and I was like trying to catch up different ideas. Like, okay, what he's trying to say? Okay, he said name, but he said nam. It was weird. It was difficult. Then he tried to speak in Spanish, and it was worst. The only word that he pronounced correctly was machismo, and I was like, okay, do you know the concept of machismo is? And he was like, yes, a man who has a wife, and that wife does everything that her husband says. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And French was even worse. So those kind of experiences are useful for us because we can learn from those mistakes, from other people's mistakes. So I would recommend you to do that, to have more friends on
Yes,
Facebook.
teacher.
Okay.
I will search some friends on Facebook.
Okay, okay. Okay, so we're going to start. I love speaking to you because it's very important now to speak to practice a little bit, and I really love that we can do that, because if we want to learn, we need to speak, and we need to believe in ourselves that we can make it. Okay, that we can speak. Okay,
Thank you.
so yeah, don't worry, Rosie. Before we start up, I will ask you something. Do
Yes,
you
teacher.
like reading?
Yes, teacher. I like it.
Okay, what kind of books do you like reading?
Mm, in this time or in this moment, I like to read books about emotions, about
Oh.
¿cómo? Educación emocional, emotional,
Emotional education.
emotional education.
Emotional education.
I
Oh.
like it. Some years before, or no,
Mhm.
some years ago,
Mhm.
um, I read books about academics books,
Mhm.
not about my school or something like that. Uh,
Okay.
but now I like um, ¿cómo quedamos que era?
Emotional education.
Emotional education.
Yeah, very good.
I love it, teacher, because I got the idea from this book. I
Mhm.
got the idea that that's a sexual start in ourselves
Mhm.
of the exterior, ¿cómo?
Exterior.
Exterior,
Exterior.
exterior.
Mhm.
So
It
I
is written the same way as in Spanish, but you pronounce it exterior.
exterior.
Ah, very nice, Rosie. Very nice.
Teacher. So
Okay, and okay, yeah, continue, continue.
no, that's all, teacher.
And do you like reading in English?
Mm, I
Ah, maybe that is it. Hey, I got it.
what
I
teacher?
knew that you didn't.
In fact, this um, past month,
Mhm.
I got a book in English.
Mhm.
Uh, um, let me one moment.
Mhm.
I go for my book.
Oh. Okay, okay.
This book, teacher, not is about emotional education. But
Mhm.
this book, it was gift. No, sí es regalo, no gift.
Gift, yes.
Gift for me. Mm, the title of this book is Outsmart Your Instincts, uh, from Adam Hansen, Edward Harrington, and Beth Stars. In order to improve my English, uh, one friend uh,
Wow.
gave me this book.
Mhm.
Um, this weekend, I will start to read this book. And this is my first English book, teacher.
Wow, that is very nice. Very good. You have to read in English. You have to get used to like we did with the Spanish. No, we um maybe sometimes my students are very critic with me on the idea that I would love them to see them read in Spanish first and then read in English later, because if we don't have the I don't know, the costume to read in Spanish maybe every week or every day, sometimes in English is kind of difficult for vocabulary and all that kind of stuff. But it's good for you that you now read in English, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, teacher. I don't know
Good.
what will be the result, but I hope that I get a good result.
Yeah, you will. You will. You are very nice, and you have a very good level of English. Maybe you need to put it in practice a little bit more because you do it great. Well, my question was about reading books because I want to know how much you know about English literature. Okay, maybe books. No, not movies. Books. That is literature. Well, literature goes in plays, books, poems, and kind of stuff. But how much do you know about the English literature? Have you read some books about English literature, even in Spanish?
No, teacher.
You have to.
To
Why?
to to be honest, no. As
But
I
maybe you can do it from now on. Why? And I always say that. When you are learning a second language, a third language, any language that you're learning, it's very important for you to know its culture, its customs, its traditions. So culture, it's not only about visiting a country and that's it. It's not only about knowing the cities. No, culture, it's about knowing music, books, movies, and all food, now traditions. So, and I think when you are learning English or any language, you need to know about this culture side, now the literature. So I have 5 questions for you. Please don't look at for the answer in Google. No, try to answer them. Maybe you know some of them or you have heard of them. So the question number one is Tweedledum and Tweedledee are two characters of which children's book? 2, who is the author of The Origin of Species? This one is very, very easy. You must know that because we are given that information in primary school. 3, Shakespeare's 4 greatest tragedies are Macbeth, Othello, Hamlet, and there is another. 4, name the mega-selling writer who has written Deception Point. And 5, who is the author of the classic masterpiece Anna Karenina. Okay, so try to answer. Don't copy. Just the answer, but don't look out for the answer in Google. I will give you 2 minutes. If you don't know the answer, just leave it out. Okay, just leave the space. But I will give you 2 minutes. Okay.
yes, teacher.
Try to guess. Okay, 2 minutes. Only the answers, and we check.
To be honest, when I was reading this question, I didn't find the answer.
No, not any.
No, teacher, I'm sorry.
Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. We're gonna do it together. Together, it's better. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, teacher.
Oh my God. No, don't worry. I love this kind of activities with my students. No matter if we are in basic English or elementary English or intermediate or advanced, I love doing this because we are not very used to read. Like, okay, you ask your students, you say, do you like reading? And they said, no, teacher, it's boring. I don't like reading. I like reading magazines, but it's boring. And it's the importance of reading. It's very, very, very outstanding because you need to read in order to know. So we're gonna do it together. And today you're gonna learn something new.
Yes, teacher, I agree with you when you say that we have to know about the culture about other countries because not only is to know about we have to know about food, about movies, about literature, and for example, in my case, to be honest, when I was child, I think that, for example, my parents,
Mhm.
they didn't provide us, um, or they didn't acercarnos near us.
To reaches out to, y ya dices
Out
okay.
to this
Lo
time.
pongo aquí, sí, porque te dejé igual.
Yes, teacher.
Our parents. Sorry, our parents didn't reaches out to. Ajá, nos acercaron
Didn't reach
to reading, a la lectura.
just teacher. So I think that the things that I know now is the school provide me these types of knowledge because, for example, I can see that other classmates they got this type of literature. They have another education. I know or I think that the school is one factor, is an important factor in your education. I know that you as a person is important, which is the dedication that you put in the school, but I think that the school is important. The system that the school apply in the classmate is important. For example, my youngest sister, mi hermana la más joven,
My younger sister.
my younger sister, she study she had the opportunity to study in a particular school, and I can see that she get a different education. She can, for example, she has more English class. Their teacher are more with como preparación, preparation,
Education or professional education.
professional education. I can see that is highest, más alta. So in my case, I study in public school, and I think that my education, it was different. For example, in English class, if my teacher didn't go to the class, it doesn't happen anything. We also we didn't want to take the class when she went. But in a particular school is different because the directors or no, ¿cómo sería los como
The principals.
The principals?
Yes, the principals.
They obligate the teachers and the students to take the class, or is more, it's different. So I think that in my case, maybe one factor is the information that I got it. Now I am conociendo sería knowing. I am knowing about this, but at this time, teacher.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that might be a factor, but let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer that when you want to learn, no matter what kind of school you go to, so you study, you take advantage of what you have. So, but yes, I think that when you are in a private school, maybe you learn something more, and you have kind of different education. For example, when you are in a public school, maybe 100% or 500% of the students read. And in a private school, they maybe a 50% or even more are used to read. So I agree with you in that case. No, and maybe reading is one of those topics as Mexican, no, as Mexicans we have, because we are not very used to read, and we have to read. Even when I speak to my students, I always tell them, okay, you have to read. You can read the newspaper, a magazine, and maybe a gossip magazine, because that is reading. You can read, maybe you can listen to the radio, you can read to the news or listen to the news. So but that has to do with the context, no, in which we are
And
immersed.
I agree with you, teacher, when you say that um, depends on me to learn the things that I want to learn. But I
Yeah.
think that sometimes it's important about the environment that we have near. For
Yes.
example, now I have friends who really loves to study. Mm, for example, I have a friend who now he's studying his second career. No, his third career. He is lawyer. He is, ¿cómo se dice consultor jurídico? Law consultor,
He's consultant.
consultor, and now he's studying accounting. Uh,
Okay.
Sometimes he recommend me uh, the different types of articles, but it's about laws or something like that. Um, for this, and for example, uh, I think if I would have a friend who loves the literature, he or she recommend me something about literature in general. So for this, I think that the environment influence in the person. And now I regret to say that my parents didn't reach me because uh, maybe they, because this point depends only from me, as you say, teacher. Really, I got this reflection. ¿Cómo se dice? Me retracto de lo dicho.
I give up. I give up on what
I
on what
give
I
up.
said. No, 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 no. But you have a point on that. Let me tell you why. For me, for example, I was talking about this topic with my mom the other day. That he said that she said sorry, that she fell in love with my father because he loved reading. So my father, since he was very young, always you always could see my father with a book on his hands, and I saw that from my dad. Also, since I was a little kid, my mom used to read me children's books, and I still have those books. So I have the habit of reading for my family. So I it's not how would it say, it's not a way out, but it's very important that your parents reach you out to reading. So that is a factor. So it's not all no, it's not all their responsibility, but it's part of that, because since you were kids, they were supposed to reach you out to reading. So it's a factor, not the 100%, but it's a factor. Yes, absolutely. So don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Rosie. So we're gonna answer questions. Don't worry. So the good thing is that you're going to find new things today, and there is a point in life, learning new things every day. Okay.
Yes.
So number one, Tweedledum and Tweedledee are two characters of which children's book, and there is a movie, a very famous. It's Alice in Wonderland. Mhm. I don't know
Mm,
if you remember those characters, or those short characters, fat characters, like they look like like spheres. I don't know if you remember.
No, teacher. In fact, if you ask me, for example, about movies,
Mhm,
child movies,
mhm.
I I don't know about this type of movie because uh, when I was child, for example, I only saw movies that appears in Azteca 7, Cadete
Me
que
too.
something like that.
Me too. Believe it or not, me too.
For example, now Buscando a Nemo, I,
Finding
I
Nemo.
didn't I didn't see this movie or Toy Story. I didn't see this movie, and sometimes my friends ask me about this movie, and I don't know what can I say when they are talking about this because I didn't see these movies. Mm-hmm.
So um, it's yeah, that happens. That happens. I know all these things. To be honest, the first thing that I got into this reading universe was my parents, of course, mainly my father. Also watching movies, it got me into the idea of okay, we have the movie, we have the story, but there is a script behind, there is a long story behind. So that is very interesting. And sometimes it's kind of eagerness, like I want to do it, no? Like I am interested in doing it. So don't worry, Rosie, don't worry.
Thank you, teacher. I'm sorry.
No, don't say sorry. You are learning. So it's worse to say, I don't want to learn. No, here we are learning, and that is important. It's just an activity, okay?
Yes,
So
teacher.
Tweedledum and Tweedledee are two characters of Alice in Wonderland written by Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll wrote this story because he suffered from dementia. So the story about Alice in Wonderland, if you watch the movie, if you read the book, it's kind of weird. So when I was younger, I didn't understand the story about Alice in Wonderland. So I read the book, but I was like, I didn't understand anything. So now that I'm older, I read again the book and I understand. And sometimes in your head, when you are going through different situations, sickness, now mind sickness mainly, you can imagine a lot of things. You can imagine people that are not in front of you. You can imagine voices, and that is so creepy and that is so difficult. And this author recreated or created a world, in which all these depressive aspects or ghosts from his sickness appear in this story of Alice in Wonderland. A lady who goes and who travels to another kind of world, and he finds different things and things that don't exist in real life. So Alice in Wonderland is a quite difficult story, and it's not for kids, to be honest. So they said that Alice in Wonderland is for children, but no, they are not. It's a very difficult story. It's kind of difficult, but it's very interesting for us, Alice in Wonderland. Okay,
And now,
number two.
and now
Yeah,
did you
yes,
understand this history?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. No, just not. It's like when you see the movie Troy. Like the first time that I saw the movie, I was, oh wow, what an amazing movie, and it is because the actors are awesome. But the story, it has nothing to do with the real story. Like when you read the Iliad and the Odyssey from Homero, so that has nothing to do with the movie. So when you become critical when you read books and when you watch movies, believe me.
Oh,
Okay, number two. Yes, tell me.
no, no, no.
Okay, number two. Who is the author of the Origin of Species? So the person who created or who made this theory about the human evolution, Charles Darwin. Sorry. I'm horrible at writing in the computer. So Charles Darwin, it's not the word created, but stipulated, that will be the word, stipulated the theory of the origin of the human evolution. that he presumed that we came out from the monkeys and that is the origin of the species.
Yes,
Or the
teacher.
evolution theory. Hit 3, Shakespeare. To be honest, reading Shakespeare in English is the toughest thing that you can do in your life. Because why? Let me tell you something. Shakespeare's English is the medieval English, and in the centuries 13th century, 14th century, English was not the same as now we know English. So in those times, you can speak English in different ways. So if you want to say I'm from Puebla, or you can say I Puebla from. So believe it or not, that was the English in that time. So that's why sometimes most of the time Shakespeare in English is very difficult. So
Okay.
don't be afraid. So we have different plays, and Shakespeare is one of the greatest, and if not the greatest, playwright in the history. So the most common that we know is Romeo and Juliet, which is the most famous playwright from Shakespeare's. We have also Macbeth. From all the Shakespeare's playwrights, my favorite is Macbeth, okay, because it's about treason. So we have Othello, Hamlet, and the other is King Lear. So King Lear is another of Shakespeare's playwrights. So I recommend you to read Hamlet. I don't know, Othello. I didn't like Othello, to be honest. But Macbeth is my favorite. 4, name the mega-selling writer who has written Deception Point. So this the answer is Dan Brown, and he wrote the Da Vinci Code. Did you read it? Da Vinci Code.
No, teacher.
And there is a movie about that. Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, The Secrets of the I forget the word even in Spanish. No, I forget the word. Oh, Jesus Christ. I forget it even in Spanish. The place in Rome where the church is. Can you help me out? I forget the word. I forget a word, but he wrote a lot of different stories about the Catholicism and all the conspiracy theories that are behind it. So Dan Brown is a very famous writer about those controversial topics. So it's a very good one. Number 5, who is the author of the classic masterpiece Anna Karenina? Anna Karenina is one of the most important English stories of all times. The answer is Leo Tolstoy. Okay. So, and there is a movie also, or a series. I think there is a series about this story. So today you learned something new. So don't worry, you can learn this. You can read. So for today, I recommend you five things. Well, number 2, it's a theory. So about the evolution of the human race. So we have different theories about human life. Now the Big Bang theory, the original species or the evolution theory, and the Catholic theory. So we have 3 of them. So
Yes.
if you want to read all of them, it's up to you.
Thank you, teacher.
You can read about Alice in Wonderland. You can read the Little Prince. You can read maybe not only Romeo and Juliet, but you can read Macbeth from Shakespeare. It's a playwright. So it's not a book. It's a playwright. You can read something about Dan Brown. Anything that you want to read, it's awesome. And Leo Tolstoy, and also I recommend you to read about anything about Jane Austen. So she's awesome. About romance and society, and Jane Austen is amazing, or Charles Dickens also. Okay, so I hope that you like this kind of activity.
I love it, teacher, because el verbo reflexionar
It reflects.
reflects it that I have to know more about literature or
Mhm.
know about academic topics or maybe now about um, emotional education, but the literature is not, it wasn't part of my books, but I know that it's important because in this way I can understand more about other culture because for example sometimes the writer express um, depends on the where is the author.
Mhm.
No, the origin of the author.
Mhm.
um, I can find other points of view or maybe
Yes,
I
absolutely.
develop my imagination.
Absolutely.
Thank you, teacher.
No, no. Let me tell you something. As you know, I'm a very big fan of Harry Potter books. And when I read, a bunch of years ago, when I read the fifth book, The Order of the Phoenix, before the movie came out, I was really disappointed at the movie because I read the book and the book is like, I would say 500 pages long. And when I saw the movie, I was like, really? So did they decide to take out a lot of good scenes from the movie, from the book? So when you read a book, you become critical, and that helps you even in the everyday life because you have other opinions, you have other way to see life, and yes, that is very useful. Good, good, Rosie. So we continue.
Thank you,
So you don't
teacher.
have presentation for today, right?
Right.
But for next week, you do. Okay. Last week we were in this topic about discrimination, and believe it or not, I was thinking about this thing all week, like all the things that we have been through, and discrimination goes further than we thought. No, and we saw some concepts about harassment, bullying, and discrimination. Mhm. So we're gonna review those things. So discrimination occurs when someone is treated less favorably due to a particular protected attribute, even if the treatment isn't openly antagonistic. For example, not getting a promotion because you are pregnant or being the subject of joking banter by reference to that protected attribute, and even where it is indirect. For example, an employer may say that they're open to employing people with disabilities but do not provide appropriate access. No, so we saw that discrimination still happens in this new century in different ways. No, it may be for your religion, for your beliefs, for your way of thinking, your way of dressing, your way of speaking, so your values also. So it's very complicated. So that is discrimination. Harassment is when someone is treated in a way that is offensive, humiliating, intimidating, or threatening because of a particular attribute, like coming from another country. Yeah, like maybe making fun of someone maybe from another religion, from their beliefs. No, like a person, maybe ladies who wears this kind of long skirts, they sometimes they are criticized or they are treated in different ways. So when you offend someone, that is harassment. Okay. Also, we have sexual harassment in some welcome offenses or intention of sexual nature. Let me tell you one experience that happened to, well, not my mom, but to my mom's ex-boss. So this lady, it's 21 years old, so she's very young. She's almost your age. And she got into the company or the factory in which my mother works. So she worked for a month there and she got fired because of this. She was a very quiet person, a very educated lady, but the boss that is in charge of all the women in the factory, it's a man who loves women. You know that they're very, how would I say, they are. I don't want to say a bad word. I would say that they are very open-minded people per se. I don't want to say a bad word. So, but this lady wasn't. This lady was very well educated, had values very sustained, and she got fired because she didn't want to go out with the boss. So that is sexual harassment. So, and that happens. That still happens in our country and around the world. Now, when you go to work, you go to a job because you want to work. You don't want to go out with your workmates or your boss. So that happens a lot, and that's very, very bad because when you are young and you're looking up for an opportunity outside, and when you have these kind of situations, it's not very good. And bullying is repeated unreasonable behavior that places that affect persons' health or well-being and risk. I there is my example. I was bullied for a bunch of years for my family. So it's horrible because you start believing that you don't deserve what you got. So it's not good. And finally, okay. So do you have any question about that topic? That was the last thing that we checked about the topic
No,
for this
teacher.
week.
That's good.
Good. That is a kind of difficult topic. Activity rights and responsibility for employees and employees. So we're gonna check that. So when you get into a job, you have your rights and responsibilities as well. So you need to be very aware of that. Okay. So that's what we're going to review today. If you have any questions, just let me know. Because today is the last topic, the second part of the last topic. So that's why we are talking about work environment.
Can you give me 2 minutes, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, teacher. I'm here, teacher. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Don't worry, I went for a glass of water too. Okay, so we continue. I'm thinking about your final presentation. I will let you know in a moment. Okay, so an employer, what is an employer? An employer is a person of business that pays employees for their work. Okay. Um, and an employee is a person who works for that person or that business. A right is something that you're entitled to receive. Example, to be treated in an ethical and legal way. I don't know what I have these little squares here. A responsibility is a duty or something you should do. For example, to treat others with respect. Mm-hmm. So those are concepts that have to do with work and job environment. Rights and responsibilities, it can be classified as follows. Legal, set out by national, or in this case, we have United States, but we can have Mexican law. Example, the right to be treated equally regardless of age, gender, marital status, etc. So, for example, we have laws in our countries that do not accept, okay, this kind of discrimination. So those are legal rights. Mm-hmm. Social, the treatment of workers by employers, for example, payment of a fair wage, prevention, or bullying in the workplace. Hmm? Environmental, a safe and healthy workplace. In addition, the employer must ensure that they do not damage the local environment. Ethical, doing what is right, fair treatment of employees and suppliers, engaging in fair trade. So these are kind of rights and responsibilities. So rights of employees, so as me and you, for example. Employees are safeguarded by law in a number of employment areas, and employees have the right to. So what are the rights that we have? Receive a fair day's pay for a fair day's work, receive at least the minimum wage, receive a contract of employment. So a contract of employment, sometimes we take it for granted, but it's very important because we have the rights and responsibilities submitted in a paper. So that's very, very important. Adequate rest breaks, holiday pay, work in a safe and respectful atmosphere free from danger, bullying, or discrimination, join a trade union. Questions here?
No, teacher.
So we continue. So we have here some countries do not have laws ensuring that employees are kept safe and receive an adequate income. Discuss whether you think it is right that consumers support this by buying cheap goods made by people in poor conditions receiving a low wage. Compare the rights of people working in Ireland and people working in these conditions. So we're going to compare with the country. We know, and we are well known, that not all the jobs in Mexico are well paid. Well paid is not only about money, about wage. It's about having this, we say in Spanish, prestaciones. In English, we say these benefits. So what do you think about that, Rosie?
I think, teacher, that the conditions that we have in actually it's hard because even if you some years ago the employees they have more benefits. They didn't need to get lots of things in order to get it, but I think that now if you want to get some of these benefits, for example, seguridad social, social
medical insurance,
medical insurance. Now there are lots of factory that they don't provide these benefits.
Yes.
I think that now we don't have a good condition here in Mexico. For example, we don't have the payments that we receive here are not according to the functions. For example, in the last class, we are talking about the clases sociales.
Social classes.
Social classes. And I saw that, for example, a medium
class.
Media baja,
medium low class.
Medium low class. In one of these characteristics, say that the people who stay in this range or rate, they have middle school is prepa.
That is High school
high
mainly.
school, but the the payment is around uh, around 11 no 7,000 uh, per month. So I think, teacher, that now even you have a profession, for example, an engineer, if you go to the factory, they don't pay a good salary.
Mhm.
In my case, for example, my brother is engineer. Um, I have seen that it's difficult for him to get a good salary, even if he is engineer. If they don't, if the factory they don't provide a good payment, can you imagine how they do with the benefits? They don't provide.
Absolutely.
Lo que quise decir es que si no quieren pagar nada más bien un salario menos las prestaciones.
I understood. Don't worry, Rosie. No, I was thinking about that. You are right. No, like um, employment in Mexico is not well paid. Believe me. So you daydream about things that maybe will never happen. And people who have success is because they have this kind of friends that can help them out. And I think that is unfair, but that happens a lot in our country.
Yes, teacher.
Well, we continue before we cry out over this. Okay. I will cry. Okay. Responsibilities of employees. Now we have rights, but also we have our responsibilities, or in Spanish we say the deberes. No, employees have the responsibility either by law or morally to carry out their duties as stated in the contract of employment, absolutely, arrive at work on time, be loyal to their employer and not disclose confidential business information, treat customers, workers, and employer with respect and ensure they don't bully or discriminate against other employees. Follow workplace rules and safety instructions. Wear any protective equipment and uniform provided to them by the employer, and attend all the training provided by the business. About this thing about training, for example, for us as teachers, how important it is for us to be trained constantly. And most of the time, schools don't want to give you the training. And that is not, it's their responsibility. So that is something that we are going through as teachers, because they don't give us the training, and it's the school's responsibility. It's not us. It's the school's responsibility. Okay, and it has to be paid, and they don't want to do it. Rights as employers. So employers have the right to decide on the objectives of the business, hire suitable staff for the business, dismiss dishonest or suitable staff, and expect loyalty from their staff. Responsibilities of employers: ensure the workplace is safe and has healthy working conditions. Provide employees an educated training. Yes, this one, number two. Sometimes the schools don't do it. Like, okay, you're a teacher and you need to train yourself. But yeah, but you need to pay me for it. So I will do it on my own. And that happens. That is more common in companies or factories, but in schools are not, and they should be. Provide employees with statutory holidays and leave, example, maternity, paternity, parental leave. Pay agreed wages. They must pay at least a minimum wage to their employees and equal pay to men and women. Oh, that doesn't happen in Mexico. The Duke pay as you earn. we here in Mexico, we have the ICR or we have the IVA. In the United States, they have the PAYE, which is the deduct pay as you earn, and the pay-related social insurance, which is the Seguro Social in Spanish. In Mexico, we have the Seguro Social and Universal Social Charge. From their employees' pay and keep employment records, including revenue payments for each employee. Ensure our employees are treated equally in the business and that bullying, harassment does not exist. They must not discriminate when advertising, recruiting, or promoting staff. That doesn't happen in Mexico. Because in almost all the jobs that we have in Mexico, we find discrimination, unfortunately. And comply with all employment law and give employees a written contract of employment. That is very important. So if we discuss about our country, sorry, it's not good compared to other countries. In groups, create a poster. No, we don't gonna do that. Employee records. So what are those personal details such as the employee's full name, address, date of birth, PPS number, which is the Seguro Social in Spanish, and contact names and telephone numbers in case of emergency. Job application form, CV. So we have this in jobs in other countries. We have this. If an employee completed an application form for the current job, the employer will keep this for their own records. Employees' behavior record, the employer will keep a record of an employee's attendance, punctuality, and work performance, timesheets, a copy of the employee's employment contract, and records of PAYA and VRSI and USC paid. So that's what we have in Mexico, but some of them are not are not there per se. And that is very sad. So we have industrial relations, refers to the relationship that exists between employers and their employees in the workplace. Trade unions are, a trade union is an organization that represents workers, protects their rights, and negotiates with employers on pay and conditions of work. In other words, trade unions are sindicatos, which don't exist more often anymore here in Mexico. But in other countries, that's very, very important. Questions so far?
No, teacher. It's good this activity because I am taking vocabulary.
Yes, that's why that is vocabulary useful for speaking. Absolutely. Here, types of industrial action. An official strike, employers refuse to work with an employer. The trade union must give the employer 1 week notice of the strike action. So, which means the huelga. Work to rule, workers do not only what is in their job description. Go slow, workers do their work, but at a slower pace. Overtime bans, workers refuse to do overtime, and token stoppage. Workers stop working for a short period of time, example, for 3 hours. This can disrupt the flow of work on the day it happens. So this is vocabulary about employment. So this activity is very interesting. Research recent industrial relations disputes using newspapers or the internet. Find answers to these questions. It came to my mind the thing that is happening with the gas in Mexico, in Puebla mainly. I don't know if you heard about the news on the radio this week, maybe yesterday or the day after. They were talking about that these gas distributors didn't want to work anymore because the gas was non-existent and very expensive. So what trade union was involved? I don't know. I have no idea. Who was the employer? I forgot the name of the employer. The dispute was in Puebla. The dispute was about the gas. The gas. What was that? The gas. High prices. And how would you suggest disputes could have been resolved? Well, here in Mexico, we cannot resolve anything because we have a lot of corruption. So So do you know about any industrial relation? Rosie, have you heard about something?
In, I know that in automotriz, en la industria automotriz,
In the car industry. Car industry.
in the car industry, I don't know where, but a worker
Mhm.
works who work in
With a person works.
who
Don't worry.
works in factory of this industry. He got to no la renuncia el
Sorry. Dismiss.
dismiss
Mhm.
uh, of this factory.
Mhm.
Then he went to work in another factory, but the same industry, and he provides information about the first factory. Then he got a judgment because this information, it was confidential information. Uh, but in this case, this dispute take place here in Mexico. It was about um, confidential information that he didn't didn't provide this information to the second factory where he worked. I think I could suggest him that he shouldn't provide confidential information because he signed a contract when he started to work with his first factory. So with this action, when he provides confidential information, he broken the law because this type of action not is only by the contract. The law regulates this type of action. So I think that this situation, it will be a bad result for the employer. And that's all, teacher.
Good example. Good. So I really love this kind of activities because all the examples come up to it. Good. Thank you, Rosie. Next, legislation protecting employees. We have the articles. No, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know the articles on our constitution. That is not good. I should know. Do you know them in Mexico? The articles that protect the employees' rights?
Uh, we have a constitution who is the maximum law that protect the rights of employees. We have one article who regulates this type. I remember that is 123 article who regulates the human rights for the employees. So then we have Ley Federal del Trabajo, who regulates in a precise way the rights of the employees and employers and the relation that they have in our country. That's all, teacher.
Okay, okay, I don't know. You know something that I don't know, that I'm supposed to know, but I don't. Thank you, Rosie, for enlightening my mind. Good. Well, how important is to know about our rights and responsibilities as employees? No, it's very, very important. Good.
It's very important, teacher, because someday one person told me that the information is power. If you know
Yes.
where, which are the rights and the responsibilities, you will get an important information that you can use when your employer uh, wants to sobrepasar,
Review.
review your rights. For this, it's important that you know these your rights.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. It's and it's kind of unfair when you are outside working and your rights are not well treated, and that is not good. Good, Rosie. But we're moving to the topic that is for today. What time is it? Oh, we're about to finish. Wow. I didn't feel it. Did you feel it?
Can you what does feeling means, teacher?
Sentir.
Feeling.
Don't worry, don't worry. I just want to feel. You
Feeling.
didn't feel it.
Yes, teacher.
Yeah, it suffices 1:30, so we're almost gone. So we do an activity and that's it, okay? Well,
Okay.
before we do that, did you check the video how to get a promotion? I need to check the link about 28 proven and practical ways to get promoted at work.
Oh, I'm sorry, teacher. I'm sorry.
No, you
I
didn't?
I I I got the idea that for this weekend we didn't homework and I did it. This
Don't worry, don't worry. It's okay. It's
I
okay. So I would love you to check in this. Okay, so let's talk about, before we continue, let's talk about your final presentation, okay?
yes, teacher.
Your final presentation is free. You can do whatever you want to. You can use some of the topics that we check during all these classes. You can make a presentation or bring out pictures or talk about experiences, whatever you want to talk about. The point is for you to talk about 5 minutes about
Okay.
anything. And if you want to, you can ask me or your classmate questions about the topic, okay, or opinions or
I
participation.
yes, teacher. I will talk about human rights.
Ah,
And
that would
in
be lovely.
and in this topic, I would like to talk about discrimination, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
absolutely. That's a good topic. You can make a presentation as you wish. It's free, okay?
okay.
But
Yes,
it has to do 5 minutes long. 5 minutes
5 minutes. Okay.
long. Okay, good. So that, and don't forget to answer the test. Mhm.
Okay, teacher.
So we have some activities, but we don't have time, so we're gonna do only one. We took a lot of time on this, but it was interesting. It was interesting. Okay, so no, we're not gonna do this one. I prefer to do this because it's about job. If the topic of this week is about promotion, so what do I have to do in order to get promoted at work? So we need to answer these different questions. Leadership potential interview. So do you acknowledge your mistakes? Oh, those kind of questions are hard to answer because when you are asked about, okay, your strengths, and you say, okay, I'm punctual, I'm intelligent, I'm proactive, I work under pressure, and all kind of stuff. But when you say, do you acknowledge your mistakes? So that is difficult. So what about you, Rosie? Do you acknowledge your mistakes? ¿Eres
Mm,
consciente de tus errores?
yes,
¿Los aceptas?
yes. It's difficult for me because, um, but I think that when we acknowledge our mistake, we can change some points that some points of view that we think that we have the reason, but if we considerate another points, we can see that the point that we had it, que
Mhm.
teníamos, uh, it are a mistake or is a mistake. So I try to acknowledge my mistakes.
Good. Good, Rosie. Very good. Next, question number 2. Can you keep a clear perspective in difficult situations?
No, in fact, teacher, for me, it's difficult to to make a decision
Mhm.
because I consider lots of elements when I decide something. Uh, for example, if I stay in a difficult situation, I value
Mhm.
the pros and contrast in order to get the best decision, but it's difficult for me. But I try when I get to a clear perspective is when I make a decision. But it's difficult.
Okay.
It's difficult for me.
Okay, okay, that's good. Very good. What about number 3? Are you good at negotiating? Mm.
Hmm. Um, sometimes, some years ago, uh, one person told me that when I want to buy something, no, when I want to sell something, I I give a high price in order to get a good price because here in Mexico, the most of the people um, try to negotiate a low price.
Mhm.
So if you present a high price when you get into negotiating, um, you have a good parameter or rate.
Okay, those are very nice answers, to be honest.
Teacher.
Because this is about leadership, so you would be a really nice leader. I would say yes. Do you know? Do you know? Jesus Christ! Do you show favoritism to special people?
No, teacher. I think
It.
that when you work in team, you have to get the same trait to the people because all are important. Uh, some of them uh, have an important function. For example, here in my house, I love my
Mhm.
parents or my sister, but I try to provide the same uh, trait.
Okay, good. That is nice. Are you number 5? Are you capable of doing many things at one time?
Oh, this is difficult for me. I have a friend who really can do it. She is calling on her cell phone. She is working in the computer. She is ¿cómo se? Maquillándose, making,
Making up. Yes, making up.
making up. She's eating.
Yeah.
Really, she can, she can do it, but I think that I'm not. I can do it.
No. Okay. Okay. Do you ever number 6? Do you ever cross boundaries? It means that vas más allá de las fronteras, cruzas fronteras.
I know, teacher, that it is a good um, way to get successful because
Mhm.
we stay only in one place. We don't know if we can find some um, opportunities abroad, for example. Uh, we need sometimes we need to be more. We need to be more atrevidos,
Forget it. Extroverted. Extroverted.
extroverted. I think that sometimes my in my case it's difficult to cross the line, but I know that it's important to do something, to do sometimes.
Okay. Good. 7. Do you make choices quickly?
Mm, as I told you, teacher, for me it's difficult to take
Yeah.
a decision. So I try to consider lots of items that in order to
In
get
order
the
to make a decision.
decision. So
Okay. And finally, do you think you have the ability to see the potential in an opportunity?
yes, teacher.
Good. So in conclusion, you believe that you will make a good leader or not?
Um, um,
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
will answer next class, you say.
Yes, I think that to get to be a leader, you have
Okay.
to to get lots of characteristics.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think that I'm not prepared in this moment.
Okay, Rosie, good. So these kind of activities are very interesting. So we're gonna continue with the last two for next class, and the activities that I'm going to bring you for your pronunciation. So for today, that's it, Rosie. Don't forget your final presentation, answer the final evaluation on the platform, and that's it. So see
Thank
you
you, teacher.
next week.
I love your
Bye.
class, teacher. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank
Stay
you.
home and stay
Bye.
healthy.
The same to you, teacher. Bye.
Bye.